Have you ever wondered why there's so many insanely creative people that struggle financially, yet there's other smaller percentage that maybe isn't even as creatively talented, but yet they make hundreds of thousands of dollars every single year? So there's the stigma around artists that they have to be broke. It's the starving artist syndrome, right? And I felt this growing up because a lot of my friends either expected me to remain broke or they were broke themselves and they were artists and they were completely fine with it because it was just expected. But the fact is, it doesn't have to be this way. And in fact, 97% of creators are financially struggling because of one very specific thing that is probably not what you think. So it's not because the clients don't have the budget. It's not because you spend all your money on gear. It's not because you haven't gotten famous on social media yet. And in most cases, it's not even because your work isn't good enough. I mean, let's be honest. You probably know of a creator who's charged an insane rate for a project, but then you look at the end product and you're like, well, I could have done something similar or maybe even better than that. I mean, I remember when I was first getting started, I was working on this commercial shoot for an insurance company that it was a 2-day shoot. They hired Steven Spielberg to DP. It was a $100,000 budget per day for the shoot for 2 days. So like $200,000 just for production. And that's not even including post-production, which all said and done was probably closer to $300,000. But by the time I saw the final product, because it aired on TV, I watched it and I was like, man, I could have created something very similar to this, if not better, for like $10,000. And it wasn't that the commercial was bad or anything, or that I have like a huge ego. It was honestly just because I didn't think that it looked like it was worth $200,000. But the main thing I want you to get out of this is that it got me thinking, what is this production company that's charging $300,000 for a commercial doing that I currently wasn't doing at that stage of the game? And I know it's easy to say, oh, well, they have the best gear or they have tons of experience, you know, they hired the DP or whatever. But although it is true, is not the main reason, because they rented the gear, they hired the people, which is all stuff that we can do as well. They just have one thing that you don't. And that one thing is leverage. So real quick, you're probably thinking, well, Nash, what makes you qualified to talk about this? Well, I've actually been a professional resort and brand photographer for the last 4 years. I've worked with companies like Westin, Hyatt, Sandals, Four Seasons, and plenty other ones. A lot of these projects were 5-figure budgets, and I've helped a lot of my clients be able to land projects with their dream clients in the mid-4 and even 5-figure ranges as well. And here's the kicker, a lot of them were actually getting ignored by the very clients that ended up hiring them in the future. So it wasn't that their work was significantly better, it's just that they implemented leverage. So in order for me to explain how leverage works, I first have to be able to explain what the theory of constraints is. So the theory of constraints is basically saying that the organization can only grow to the level of its lowest skill. Or if we apply this to creators, a creator can only grow to the level of their lowest skill set. So let's just do a little exercise. Let's think of all the skills that are required to execute a shoot or to run a creative business, and then you pick out the ones that you're actually good at and the ones that maybe you need some work on. So let's start on the creative side. We have things like scripting, strategy, cinematography, storytelling, sound design, editing, color grading. These are all creative skills that are absolutely necessary in order to succeed, right? But then on the other side, the side that no one really thinks about, is the business skills that you need to be able to actually succeed. These are things like offer creation, outbound marketing, sales, pricing, negotiation, pitch creation, client communications, contracts, accounting, invoices, systems, retainers, retention. All these skill sets are skills that many creators actually deny even exist, and therefore they remain broke. So to be honest, for most creators, they just want to tell stories. They want to be behind the camera. They want to do art, right? And that's all well and good until you're broke. See, because the problem is most creators are really good on the creative skills, right? Or maybe they even know someone who's really good, but they're severely lacking when it comes to the business skills. So as a result, the entire operation is bogged down by your lack of business skill. And unfortunately, you can't just pretend this doesn't exist. So let's just use me as a real world example here real quick. So when I was young and naive, I started practicing all my creative skills. I tried to get as good as I possibly could. And a lot of people, friends and family and whatnot, would tell me that my creative work was good. So I got a little bit of an ego. And then I started growing a social media following. So people started commenting on my work. It started stroking the ego even more, which was really good for me, I thought, except for the fact that no client wanted to work with me. So what did I do? Well, I went to YouTube and I did what they told me I should do. I tried to increase my skill level. I tried to send different media kit templates, different pitch deck templates, all this kind of stuff. I even tried to upgrade my gear. And basically I was trying to make my creative skills a 10 out of 10 while I was completely neglecting that the business side of the industry even existed. And if I'm being honest, my business skills were maybe a 1 or a 2 out of 10. So the problem was, no matter how much I increased my creative skill, it really didn't matter because the bottleneck was not my creative, it was actually the business. But even when clients did approach me, I actually floundered because I had no idea about like pricing, negotiation, sales skills, or just how to set myself apart from the competition so that a client couldn't price shop me against 10 other photographers that were bidding on the project. So what happened? Well, I ended up competing on price. I had to undercut everybody just so I could get the job. But the problem with that is that I don't get paid as much, which means that I have to take on more jobs every single month just to afford my bills, which means that I have less time and also less freedom to do anything. And I ended up jumping on this flywheel that I now know as the creative slave flywheel. So I'll kind of explain how this looks. So basically it starts because you don't have a consistent client acquisition workflow, right? You're relying on word of mouth, you're relying on referrals, which means it's super inconsistent and you never know when your next paycheck is coming. The second problem is that you're completely commoditized offer. You offer short form video, photography, videography, whatever it might be, but so do 10,000 other people. So you're not any different than anybody. So when you go to pitch clients, you don't have any differentiating factors, which means that you have an extremely low closing rate. So maybe you get on a few calls, but you're not closing that high because you have to compete on price, which means you have to lower your price to be competitive. But here's the problem with that is because you lower your price, you have less margins, meaning you can't invest in other talent to help you out, meaning you have to be a one-man show. You also can't invest in marketing. You can't invest in any kind of client acquisition. And because you're just a one-man show, you can't give them the ultimate experience because you're working with 5 other clients at the same time. And because you're overworked and your client experience isn't that great, you're not going to get referrals. Your retention is not going to be that good. You're not going to get case studies that you can leverage to get better clients. And as a result, you have to go back to figuring out how to find other clients because you don't have referrals or whatnot, right? So you still have that inconsistent client workflow and the cycle just goes around and around. So the huge problem with this is unless you make a massive shift in your business, you're going to be on this flywheel for life because you don't have leverage. And what do I mean by leverage? Well, you don't have the money to actually reinvest into your business because you can't charge enough because you don't actually differentiate yourself enough from the competition. So if you don't charge enough, you don't have that margin, you can't reinvest, you have to take on all these other clients and around it goes until you make the change. And you're probably thinking, well, if I just raise my rates a little bit, then that solves the entire issue. And you're partially correct, but the problem is clients are turning you down now. So why do you think that adding an extra $1,500 to your bottom line is going to make them want to work with you more? It's not. So you have to make this radical transformation. And for me, it was twofold. So the first thing is you have to create an offer that's such a no-brainer that clients will literally renegotiate their quarterly budget just to be able to hire you. So if you're getting on calls or emails and clients are saying we don't have the budget, that means that your offer is not good enough. So you got to fix that. And the second one, you have to have a consistent flow of inbound leads that come to you every single week or ideally every single day that want what you have. So to be honest, product market fit is all the business is. So let me show you what happens when you make these two shifts and how it completely transforms the flywheel to be much more productive and also give you a lot more freedom. So instead of selling what you want and what you want to shoot, what you want to deliver, when you want to show up, we're going to actually figure out what the problem for the brand is and we're going to solve the entire thing, not just a sliver, but the entire problem. So here's how that looks. So it starts with having a predictable inbound system, something that brings you consistent leads again, like every week or ideally every single day, so that you can have these conversations with people all the time. You're not relying on one person coming in every other month and hopefully they're going to close. It's consistent. So if you lose one, it's fine. You have some more coming in. The second aspect is that you have to build what I call a brand bridge offer. That is a complete no-brainer that solves every piece of the client problem. So we got to go A to B. What is the client currently experiencing? What do they want to experience? And what is every single obstacle in between that's going to prevent them from experiencing their ideal dream outcome? And how can we fix that? If you're not doing this, then that's why you're commoditized. So now because we have a brand bridge offer that's so specifically tailored exactly to what the client's problem is, we can charge way higher ticket. Like I'm talking minimum $3,000. That's like the bare minimum. Most of the time, it's upper 4 figures, if not 5 figures for these kind of projects. And the thing is, clients can't price shop you because your offer is so much different than everything else on the market. It's not like they're looking at your per photo rate versus someone else's. They're looking at what you're solving for them versus somebody else giving them some photos. Completely different. So now because we're charging higher ticket, we have more margin to actually be able to reinvest into our business so that we can hire people like editors or second shooters or anybody that's going to give us a better client experience. And we also have margin to reinvest into client acquisition. So check this out. Because we do that, we actually invest in getting the client better results faster, meaning that they have a better experience with us. We get more testimonials, we get more case studies, and then we can leverage those case studies to actually get us more better clients more consistently because we got them good results. And it's just a cycle. It just keeps going around and you eventually get better clients. You can charge more, you get better clients, you can charge more, and around it goes. So this process is exactly what's allowed me to work with some of the top brands in the world and charge upwards of $40,000 while working for dream travel clients. It's also what's allowed my client Trevor to be able to go from just getting free collabs or getting ignored all the time to landing a $16,000 job in Dominican Republic for a dream resort. And it's also what's allowed plenty of my other clients to land awesome projects as well. So if you want to know how to implement this exact process into your business so you can get similar results, I actually have a free game plan call that you can book with my director of creator growth. And he's going to walk you through our entire process, our systems, our frameworks that I use personally, and I also help my clients implement into their business to get the type of results that I just showed you. So if you're interested in learning what those frameworks are and how they could potentially work in your business, then go ahead and schedule that call. It's absolutely free. He's going to walk you through exactly how to do it, tailor it specific to your business. So you're going to walk away with a game plan. And whether you want to implement that yourself or you want us to help you implement that for you on your behalf and kind of work with you in terms of how to actually implement that, then it's up to you. But my goal is really to help you understand what the path is moving forward, because I don't want you to be stuck on that slave flywheel. You owe it to yourself not to be broke. There's so many creators that are so talented out here that I just hate to see struggling financially. So you owe it to yourself to actually invest in yourself and understand what to do. So I appreciate you watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.